We have breaking news just now. FBI agents have raided former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton's Washington, D.C. area home early this morning. A source familiar with the matter tells NBC News that the FBI agents raided Bolton's home in Bethesda, Maryland this morning as part of a, quote, national security investigation in search of classified records. The FBI has not commented, but in a seemingly related post just made on X, FBI Director Kash Patel wrote moments ago, "No one is above the law. FBI agents on mission." We've reached out to National Security Advisor Bolton. He has not responded yet, Claire. We don't know a lot yet. This just happened. The source telling us it's about classified records, perhaps, a national security investigation. But we should note here, John Bolton, who did briefly work for Donald Trump as national security advisor in his first term, has turned into a fierce Trump critic. We just actually, just a few days ago, spoke about him here on this show because he thought that the president's summit in Alaska with Vladimir Putin was going to be a disaster. In fact, even before the summit occurred, he said that Trump had handed Putin a win. In fact, Trump went to social media to criticize Bolton for those comments. And now, a few days later, we have this. We don't know there's a link, but we certainly know this is a president who has promised retribution.
Yeah, it's chilling. It really is. Listen, John Bolton and I disagreed on many things back in the days when I was serving in public office, but I don't think very many people that know John Bolton would argue that his beliefs were intellectually sound. You could disagree with him, and that he gave a lot to this country in terms of time and his intellect and his work ethic. And clearly this is retribution. Clearly this is using the FBI in a way that not only tarnishes the FBI, but it tarnishes our country. I mean, this is what they do in countries where they don't have rule of law. This is what happens when despots take over, like Putin. And John Bolton has always been critical of how, I mean, he about lost it when Trump wanted to invite the Taliban to Camp David. It's chilling. Now, do I think they're ever going to have evidence to convict this man of anything in a court of law with a jury? No, they won't. But they can make him miserable.
Yeah, and Gene Robinson, again, we should stress, we don't know a lot about what's happening here. We saw FBI Director Kash Patel's social media post. John Bolton, former Trump National Security Advisor turned Trump critic, his home raided in Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah, look, I agree with Claire. I find it difficult, if not impossible, to believe that there's some reason to arrest John Bolton on national security grounds. I found plenty of reason to disagree with John Bolton's positions, with his prescriptions for foreign policy over the years, but this seems to be just blatant, bald-faced retribution because Donald Trump doesn't like him and sees him as having, betrayed him, and so he gets arrested. It is chilling. It is disgraceful, and I doubt, frankly, how many months into the second Trump administration are we? I doubt this is the last time we're going to see this sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen throughout the administration, John, the president, as he had said during the campaign, enacting forms of retribution against people who he felt had crossed him or betrayed him or had been critical of him, and none more so than people who had worked for him before that. We saw that with the members of his previous administration who had their security clearances stripped because for some reason they fell afoul of what the president was saying or doing. And I doubt that John Bolton, it's hard to believe that John Bolton has anything in his home that could incriminate him in some way. But it's also quite possible to think that he is not the last of people that the president would like to see punished in some way for what he sees as disloyalty.
Yeah, again, we don't know yet. This is a developing story. Just happened a short time ago. Facts are sparse. We just know that there's this FBI raid at former Ambassador Bolton's home in suburban Washington. We have a reporter heading to the scene. We will have more on this story as it develops. But again, certainly there have been some who have been concerned that President Trump would follow through on his promises of retribution. We don't know that's what's happened here. We will stay on this story as the morning continues.
But I don't think he cared about the classification system. I don't think he appreciated the sensitivity of this information, and he didn't appreciate the sensitivity of how it was often acquired, the so-called sources and methods. So this had been briefed to him before I arrived. It was repeated frequently. I think it simply had no impact on him whatever.
There's a couple of different ways that people think about this, and people who are not friendly to the president who think about what's happened here. And one of them is, Donald Trump, master thief, criminal, running some kind of elaborate conspiracy to bring things out of the White House and keep them secret for potentially for political or financial gain. There are other people who his attitude is Trump is chaotic, he's careless, he's not that smart. He took these things almost by mistake, and now he's basically stamping his feet and saying they're mine. I don't want to give them up. Give me a sense of where you think the truth lies with respect to Trump's intelligence, carelessness, and the degree to which he might have brought motive to bear on taking these documents out of the White House and keeping them for this long at Mar-a-Lago.
Well, it's very hard to speculate on motive other than that he liked cool things. He saw things so he wanted to take them, and he was pretty much able to take them, and not just on classified information matters, on all kinds of things that crossed his desk. Some days he liked to eat a lot of French fries. Some days he took classified documents. He wanted them. Why did he want them? Because he could get them.